Hello, Bigfoot enthusiast. Scott here from Squatch America.
And Hannah, the really good coffee tonight, sipping domestic goddess in the paddy wagon. You did good.
Thank you. Okay.
I know. Tell them what the magic secret was to get it not tasting like that sludge you drank in the army.
We put less coffee in, and we switched from using paper filters to just a metal basket thing.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, it was really good tonight. For a while, I thought I was going to have to give up coffee because it was like gross for the longest time. I don't know.
So,
hey, would anyone out there be interested in purchasing from us our own label of coffee?
Yeah.
How about Squatch America Bigfoot Brew? What do you think of that?
Yeah, that sounds
we have
good.
the opportunity to invest in our own brand of coffee. So, hey, if you like that idea, drop a 1 in the chat.
All right. And I see Patty's in here. Hello. First one on the list.
Good for you. Awesome. Your prize is you got the best seat in the house.
Yep, you did. And Squatch and Cowboy is House, Texas. My friend.
All right. And before we forget, you better play the intro.
Oh, we should do that.
Whoopsie doodle.
Whoopsie doodle. I know. We're going to get into that. I need to find the right button. Do. All right, everyone. Hi, Pink. Dale.
Hey.
Dale from Maine.
Yes, and Joe is on from Texas. Terry from Selma, Oregon is on. I want to take a minute just because you got this guy sitting next to us, and we know what wonderful day it is. Happy Veterans Day to all you veterans out there. Thank you very much for your service.
All right. And if you were a vet and you're in the chat, throw your branch in. Just for fun.
Throw your branch in and know that I never served because for a variety of reasons, mostly because of these.
She can't see.
Can't see. But I and thousands upon thousands of real red-blooded Americans appreciate you, regardless of what you might be led to believe.
All right. So Long Island, you say it like a New Yorker.
Long Island.
Yeah.
Long Island Bigfoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
There we go. Hey, Army, Terrell, Navy. Yeah, but go Army. I'm an Army guy myself. So.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna. You know what? So my Jewish auntie she grew up in the Bronx with my dad, and I'm gonna be talking like this all night now. Thanks a lot.
All right. That's great. Well, tonight.
What? Long Island, Afghanistan, OEF Army vet. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Yep.
That was a really bad salute. I did a good one. There.
I did Iraq. I did 2 tours in Iraq.
Yeah. So. And Panama. He's got great stories out of Panama.
Yep. A lot of people don't know when we went to war with Panama.
Oh. Great story.
Put that in chat if you know why we did.
Metallica. We'll just Metallica.
Yeah, won that war. Okay.
Okay, Metallica.
All right. So.
All right. Patty says that all 3 of her sons were in Iraq at the same time.
Well, thank them through you.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, we better get started.
Yeah. So tonight we got a really big shoe.
Would you stop that? Oh my gosh, where did you get that stupidity from?
That is from a long time ago. What was the name of the show? Put that in the chat. I forgot. It's a really big shoe. Yeah.
I don't get it.
No, it was from an old TV series. It was a variety show way back in the black and white days.
So before my time then.
Yeah. So
actually I came in at the tail end of black.
And anyway, so we got a really good show tonight. We are bringing our longtime friend and Squatcher extraordinaire,
Christy Sanders.
Christy Sanders, who's been with us from way back when we were Squatch, Oregon, and
Blue Mountain
Bigfoot.
Almost from the very beginning.
Yeah,
when Blue Mountain Bigfoot was in the basement of the house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Kristi, she lives over on the west coast of Oregon. And,
Sorry.
Yeah, and she probably knows more about the Oregon Bigfoot Highway than anybody left alive, I think, unless the guy who wrote the book is still alive. I'm not sure, but anyway, she could probably tell us that too. But anyway,
she is a former researcher from Bigfoot, the BFRO, and her Bigfoot experience goes back to childhood.
So
anyway, she's got some great stories. I'm sure she'll share some of them with us tonight.
All right.
Now I'll let you get serious.
All right, the Ed Sullivan Show. Thank you very much. I know 2 people got it in the chat. All right. So everybody, ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause for Christy Sanders. Hi, Kristi.
Hi. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all the veterans.
All right. So we've got some exciting stuff you've been sharing with me in the last week or so that we're going to throw on these peeps. So tell us about your experience first in what got you into Bigfooting.
Okay.
Start at the beginning.
Well, I work for a business consulting firm, and part of what I do is I travel all across Canada and the US to clients' offices. And when I get off work, I have lots of downtime. So I spend that, surfing the internet, watching TV, whatever. And I saw a Monster Quest episode about this thing called a Bigfoot. And I was mesmerized. And they said that it was right outside of Portland, Oregon. And I live in Portland. What is this thing? I was shocked. I was hooked. I couldn't get enough, right? So I call my then husband, now ex-husband. I said, have you heard of this thing? He's like, oh, yeah, I saw one when I was 16. I was like, no way. So I went to the BFR website, BFRO, and I read everything. And I started emailing the people on Monster Quest, like Christine Wallace. And I was into it. I was like, wow. And I literally, because I immersed myself in that website, I started going to the most recent Class A, B, and C events. Class A is sighting. I believe Class B is like physical traces, and Class C is sounds, right? Anyway, so I went, took a map, and drew circles around it, so that when I was in Maine, by the way.
Where are you?
I was in Maine, yes. So then I get home, and I call my friend, and I say, grab the kids. We're going for a ride. And she goes, what are we doing? I go, don't worry about it. I got this random location in Washington State. We're just going to go there. She's like, okay, I haven't told anybody what we're doing. So I print out some of the Bigfoot stories. And as we're driving, she's reading this going, are we doing this? Are we driving? And it's January, by the way. And she's like, are we driving into a snow zone in my little Kia or whatever it was, right? To find something that doesn't exist. I'm like, well, yeah. So we drive to the center. We get to a point where the car can't get anywhere. We get out of the car and we start walking, and I will be damned if there wasn't ginormous footprints in the snow leading off a mountainside, down the middle of the road, and into like a wetland. And we were mesmerized. We're stunned. We didn't even take any pictures. I'm like looking at her going, that's a footprint. She's like, that's a bunch of footprints. And then, of course, an elk comes down and scared the heck out of us because we were like, it's Bigfoot. It was totally an elk, not Bigfoot. But of course, we all screamed and got back in the car. But that was my entry into the fascination with it.
Awesome. So, you and you've been on the show before. It was a long time ago, like one of our first.
Yeah. It was that 911 call about the hunters.
Yeah.
And, Detroit Lake.
Yes.
Yeah. So and we've been out before. We went out to that spot and found some footprints.
I call it the zoo because there's so many wild animals there.
The zoo, yeah. Now this is all on Mount Hood, in case you're wondering, in Oregon, in that area.
It's called Granite Peaks, is its actual name.
Oh, okay. So it's in the Mount Hood area. So what the area we're talking about is featured in a book, and I know Kristi knows everything about the book. We were actually out there looking for one of the sites that were in the book. Remember the stump picture?
Yeah.
And so the book's called The Oregon Bigfoot Highway. and I think you can buy it at our store.
I think you can buy it at the store, and we will get to that at mid-show.
Yeah, but
Or
anyway.
mid-shoe.
So anyway, so what got you interested so much in the Bigfoot highway stuff?
Well, believe it or not, I was up on Mount Hood off of Highway 26, and I stopped at the ranger station. Now, I have been a hunter my whole life. Okay, I'm not saying I'm a good hunter, but I'm a hunter. Right. So I was looking for maps for campsites that I could scout that were in our hunting area. So I'm in the ranger station. I'm looking around. I see a bunch of Bigfoot stuff. And I just look up and I say, have you ever had any Bigfoot reports? He's like, oh, yeah. And he looks around to make sure there's nobody else in there. And he starts talking about his fellow Forest Service workers. He goes, if you want a good book written by Forest Service workers, he points at it. He goes, get that book. And I pick it up and I'm like, oh, I've never been to this side of the mountain because it's the portion of Mount Hood that runs from Estacada to Detroit, from Highway 46 up to Highway 26 where the Warm Springs Reservation is. So it's a huge area. I'm like, okay. So I get the book, and I was kind of bored by the beginning because of all the footprint stuff, and I get right to what I call the Class A type material, and I'm shocked. I'm like, wow. So I just take the first section. I think it's called Area 4 or Area 5, and I go to the first location, and I start camping in the locations when things start happening, like for real. Now, I haven't told anybody I'm doing this, so it's not like my friends are trying to like prank me, right? And very often I'll camp alone or I'll take a dog or two with me, which has changed recently because of these photographs we're about to see.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I go out there and these things happen. Of course, every time it happens, because I'm naive, I run to the ranger station to tell them what happened because I'm super excited. But then I notice that as things happen, these sites are being closed. And I'm like, how come they're closing? Don't know. I don't know if it's because of the reports or if it was totally like serendipity, don't know, but they start closing. So then I moved to the next site, and then I moved to the next site. So then I stopped reporting to the ranger station because my favorite camping spots are getting closed. Yeah, so I had also purchased a brand new hybrid RV, and I wasn't very good at backing. So, and these were sites that you could obviously turn around in. So as they're closing, I'm getting frustrated, and I'm getting deeper and deeper in the Oregon Bigfoot Highway. I get to a spot that I love. And I don't want to close it, so I don't tell them about it. And I'm camping there all the time. And I had a major occurrence there that terrified me so bad. I mean, I could talk about it later if you'd like. Or I could talk about it now. It's up to you. I don't know.
Yep. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Talk about it now. Yeah.
Okay.
We got an hour.
So. Brand new hybrid camper with fold-out bunks. And I've got both the dogs, my Doberman, who's high prey drive, and my Australian Shepherd. Okay? So we're in this camping spot. It's July, Friday night, July 1st. I believe it's like 2017. I'd have to look at the calendar or look at Facebook. So I'm out there. And that night, another camper. Now, this is wilderness camping. This is not established campground. This is pull off the road, go down a road, find a spot, set up. And another camper comes into a tent spot that's maybe 300 yards from me, which isn't very close at all. But when you're wilderness camping, you're like, dang, he's like in my space. Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So anyway, he sets up camp, and that night, I hear like footsteps all around. I'm like, oh my God, there's a bear out there. And I found all sorts of elk sign, and I found bear prints everywhere. I'm like, there's a bear out there. And my Doberman launches at the window, all his hair up, and he's like, rah, 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 rah. Takes a deep breath. His eyes roll back in his head. He crawls under the bunk, and he's shivering in terror. And I'm like, oh, he must be afraid of the bear. And the Australian Shepherd quivered for like, 14 hours. She was so terrified she wouldn't go out. I'm like, that is so super weird. So the next day, I unhook from the trailer. I take the dogs home because they're acting weird. They are so weird. They won't go outside to go to the bathroom. It's just weird. Like total change of characteristic. I'm like, this is weird. Getting rid of the dogs. It's my big July 4th weekend. So the next night I'm there, and my stepdad arrives. So he arrives, and he's Mr. This is a very important point. He didn't believe in Sasquatch. Thought it was a bunch of hokey crap. He was the guy that would go so far as to insult others who thought they'd seen one, because he's been a hunter for 40, 50 years and he's never seen anything like it, so it doesn't exist. So he's one of those. We would fight constantly over it. So he shows up and he goes to bed early that night. And I remember we had a big bonfire and I was shooting one of my pistols at a target and talking on my satellite phone to my best friend because it was a new toy. And I'm pacing circles around the fire and I'm feeling watched, but I figure it's my stepdad. Okay. So I go to bed and I'm reading a book and I'm looking at what we're going to do the next day. And I'm super not tired. And I start to feel like there's something outside. Okay. And then I notice the other campers, the lights are off, then the lights are on, then the lights are off. I'm like, what are they drinking? They keep turning their lights on and off. That's so weird. And then the lights go off. Then I'm starting to drift off. And all of a sudden, I feel like I feel the urge to get up. I feel the urge to walk. I feel the urge to do something. And my legs are shaking like jelly. And I'm looking around going, what is wrong with my body? Do I have diabetes? Is this high blood sugar? I mean, I'm like, I have no clue what's going on. My hands are shaking. I'm like, what's wrong? I wonder if I have to go to the bathroom. So I go to stand up and I feel the trailer go boom, boom, boom. I'm like, that is a big animal if it's making Mother Earth shake my trailer. Okay, this is actually very relevant later. Anyway, I finally start to fall asleep and I feel like someone is staring. Remember, these are soft-sided tent sides, right? I feel like somebody's staring at me through it. And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. What is wrong with me? This is so stupid. Finally go to bed. It's like 5:30 in the morning. And the other tent is coming on and going off. It was weird. So about 8:30, 9 in the morning, my stepdad comes in and he wakes me up and he's electrified. And he is also a veteran, Vietnam veteran. So this man's like not afraid of anything, right? So he comes in, he goes, come here, come here, come here, come here. I'm like, what? He's like, I don't even want to say, come here. And I don't want to admit that I've just gone to bed and gosh darn, let me go back to sleep, right? So he walks me over. So like, here's the trailer. We'll pretend like this is a trailer. Maybe 25 feet in front of the trailer and to the right. He goes, what is that? And I look down and there is an enormous footprint. It compressed in the rock. Now this rock doesn't even move when we drive our trucks over. It looks like something, remember I said the trailer was shaking? It looks like something jumped down and landed. Now we also, I forgot to mention, I heard a tree branch break the night before. And we look and there's an enormous tree, not a dead tree, but a live tree that snapped like it jumped down and it grabbed the tree when it landed. And then there's another step and another step. Those are the photographs that are on the website. I think you put them on the website. So then I'm like, oh my gosh. And I follow them. I'm like, these are Bigfoot prints. And he's like, don't even say that. And so we just tracked him like we would a moose or a deer. And they lead to the other camper who has a ton in the dirt. And apparently they went around his tent. So I grab him. I go, did anything happen last night? He's like, yeah. There was something sniffing around our tent. It left handprints on our car. It totally got into our garbage. Now, his girlfriend, it was that time of the month for her, refused to burn her toilet paper. So they were putting it in a bag, tying a knot in it, and hanging it in the tree. And he said for 2 nights in a row, something had pulled it out of the tree, untied it, and looked like it was going like this with the toilet paper. So I said, come here, let me show you something. I show him our prints. He runs back, finds some distinct prints in the dirt, follows them up a steep slope so if this is 90 degrees, right? This would be 85 degrees, or would you say 75 degrees? How does that go?
Yeah. Well, that's 90. So 80, 75 is about.
So 85
about 80.
degrees, 85 degrees. I mean, it was almost straight up and vertical. He literally, by digging his fingers in, follows the tracks up and finds there's a ridge behind us. And that ridge comes down where you could literally jump off the ridge and land where we found the prints. So then I go back, I get my camera and I get measuring items and I take very good pictures to show to Jeff Meldrum, who authenticated them as being the real deal. And every night that we were there, something happened each night. On July 4th at 4:30 in the morning when we packed up to go, we got beautiful prints in the wet dirt, right? And I posted to Facebook as soon as we got into town. I roll into the July 4th party and I'm like, picture, picture, picture. Look, the real deal. And my stepdad became a believer. He was like,
that's awesome.
we actually spent after he made the initial find, we drove all around Mount Hood. Now I will say this too. This is important to I think why we found so much. That was the year that the Clackamas drainage caught on fire. The year before, and they had to close it down. Okay, so there's been no. It was the kid with the fireworks. Do you remember when he caught the gorge?
Yes.
Okay, it burned down and around. Okay, so I think it pushed all the Sasquatch down to where we were. Okay, like because there were a bunch of sightings that year because everybody was going to the ranger station reporting them, and I was just kind of hanging out listening to people talk about people at Brighton Bush, people down there at Austin Hot Springs, down there at Tom's Meadow, having this stuff happen. Anyway, we're driving around, and he's like, look, there's another set. And we'd screech to a halt, and sure enough, there'd be enormous bare footprints all around in the areas where we normally hunt. So I just think they just got pushed down. So that was awesome. And I'll tell you right now, that whole summer, so that was July 4th, all the way through August, every camping trip that I went out, something happened, either a flash sighting, noises, or prints. Fish Creek, ton of occurrences. I actually had some friends from Texas come. Here's another one. We're waiting for my friends from Texas to land at the airport, and my stepdad steps outside at 3 a.m. to like smoke a cigarette, and he sees a black hand, a hand, not a paw, like remove itself from our frying pan camp stove and go shooting off the cliff down to the river. Because we're camped here, there's a cliff. We'd set the kitchen up right here. So it was something that could come up and reach into our frying pan to see what it is. And he sees an arm and he's like, God, they're everywhere. Where'd they come from? I'm like, yeah, I think it's the fire has driven them down.
Yeah.
Same year. Okay, so we've got the Oregon Bigfoot Highway. It's a big area, right? That same year up around Timothy Lake, my daughter's boyfriend decides to join the Marines. He hasn't told her yet, though. We're going to go camping. Okay, so we take the trailer. We go to this Timothy Lake area. And here's Timothy Lake. It's behind Timothy Lake. It's on Road 57, way back in the bush. And we set up camp. It's a beautiful night. It's gorgeous. He tells her he's going into the Marines, and she starts crying and screaming. Crying and screaming in the middle of the night, 11 o'clock at night. And all of a sudden, we hear noises circling us. And she's crying and screaming, and he's looking at me. He's like, go get the gun. There's something out there. I'm like, I know. And she's like, it's just a deer. I can't believe you're going to the Marines, and you didn't tell me. And she's crying, and she's screaming. And then we hear, and this is almost a true reproduction of what we heard. And we heard this on one side of the camp, and we heard a response on the other side of the camp, and it shook our chest. And he's clutching that 45. This is what we hear. Caw-caw! Caw-caw! And then we hear caw-caw! Caw-caw! Like they were imitating a crow very badly.
Yeah.
And then we hear circling. And we're feeling watched, and he's like, what do you think that is? I go, you know what I think that is. You totally know what I think that is. What do you think it is? He goes, well, let's talk about what it isn't. And she's screaming, and she's crying. So we're like, let's get in the trailer. So we go in the trailer, and they argue some more, and then they fall asleep. Now it's like 3 a.m. And we hear, caw-caw! And then we hear something that sounds like it's at the fire. Caw-caw! And Cameron goes, what the hell is that? I'm like, I have no idea. So morning comes. And we hear real crows, and they sound like this.
Yeah.
They're flying away. Like, totally not the same.
Right.
Anyway, so he goes into the military. He comes out of boot camp, and he texts me. He's like, I haven't heard anything about Bigfoot in like a week. And then I was just thinking that I hadn't heard anything about it in a week, and then one of my buddies over here told me a story, and I just started laughing. I was like, yeah, well, you know. That's the thing. But all that stuff happened that one year. So I and I hear people say this all the time. It's not a believer point of view. It's like when you've been exposed to things, you just know. There's nothing to believe, you know. You were presented with something, you're like, okay, there's evidence there. Great, got it. So that was the beginning of my interest in the Oregon Bigfoot Highway. Now, they did close down that site of mine that I absolutely loved so much. And I actually use the Oregon Bigfoot. How you guys are going to laugh. I use it as a hunting guide. I know it's all about Bigfoot, but the guys that wrote this, there's roads in that book that you can't find on the maps, and there's GPS coordinates, and there is great hunting. So I take my favorite area that I call the zoo, and I go out there and I'm like, I love this area. Let's start hunting here. And it's not that far from my house, maybe 2-hour drive tops, right? So we go out there. I had so many interactions there. It was crazy. Let me talk about the big ones.
Yeah, but there's something I want to interject really quick.
Yes, please do. I don't want to just keep talking and.
But I have to say, before you interject, you are a mesmerizing storyteller. Let me tell you, I'm like having to say, breathe.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And there's some people in the chat actually saying stuff like, "Oh, I'm so scared." That's a spooky incident.
Yeah. So everyone in the audience, please breathe with me. Inhale.
Yeah.
Exhale. All right. Now that we've started our lungs again.
Yeah. So there's one thing I want to interject. I had a Bigfooter friend of mine from Maine gave me this idea. Shout out to Mike. But he he goes into the woods and instead of doing Bigfoot calls and all that stuff, he plays human babies crying sounds, and gets tons of reactions. So when you were talking about her crying and screaming and bawling, and that, I think that draws them in. They have some kind of, maternal instinct, to come check it out.
Well, there are so many stories of Bigfoot taking in children, lost children, sick children.
There's a lot of Native American stories about that.
Even modern stories, like the little 6-year-old who says I lived with, or the 4-year-old who said I lived with the bears.
The one in Utah?
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
Oh, yeah.
So, I got chills talking about that. Okay, so interject your thing.
That was it.
Oh, that was it. Okay. So I have a question before we get. It is 5:27. Wow. Holy cow! So before we get into the actual presentation for tonight, how about if we do our little mid-show announcements? Okay. All right. Hey, I need slides.
Boom.
Not that. I need the slides.
I didn't put them up.
Oh, well, get them up. All right, guys, guess what?
All right, so we got to do our
we're going to do our
commercial
little commercial break, and we got to keep funding the. And by the way, Long Island, thank you for the donation. Yes. We appreciate that. If we could ever get Google to send us this stuff, that would be great.
Yeah, all right.
We are fighting with YouTube right now. Give us our money. Anyway,
okay, right. So here we go.
All right. So emergency food. We went shopping today, and guess what? I had trouble finding anything like cranberry sauce. That was hard to find. Not that that's a huge thing, but even at like Albertsons and our local grocery outlet and stuff, shelves are getting emptier and emptier and emptier. And winter is coming early this year. You can feel it in the air. I'm surprised there's not snow outside already. So it's really important that we are prepared for whatever comes. Make sure your pantries are stocked. And the way that we keep our pantries stocked is with My Patriot Supply.
Link in the description below.
Our link is in the description below, and if you go through there, I think you get some kind of discount on the 4-week emergency food kit. Now we've actually been eating it this week, and I made some amazing like chicken a la king stuff. Yeah. I used dehydrated chicken and the chicken and rice and some dehydrated veggie mix, and it was actually really good. And we won't talk about how much macaroni and cheese this man's been eating. So these are really tasty. The mashed potatoes actually taste like mashed potatoes, not like whatever it is that you get from a box. Yeah. So it's a great way to keep your shelves stocked and ready for when maybe the shelves at the grocery store aren't as stocked as we'd like them to be. So
My Prepper Supply.
My Prepper Supply?
No, My Patriot Supply.
My Patriot Supply is below. Second thing, Patreon. Where's our Patreon link?
It's in the chat. It's in.
All right. So if you have not gone to patreon.com/Squatch America, please do so and get your subscription. We want to thank Terry for subscribing. And yes, we got your thank you card out this week. So and it's just a really easy way that you can support us every month. And we have monthly first Friday chats with all of our Patreons on Zoom, and we have been known to send out free coffee as door prizes. So, dead serious, free coffee, free bags of coffee, and so you never know what we're gonna do. But pop onto Patreon and you can subscribe, or you can sponsor us on Patreon, and we're working on adding value there. Is there anything else?
That's it.
That's it.
Other than that's it. Yeah.
Oh.
Go to our website, sign up for the mailing list.
Oh, that was it. Website. Okay, so they can buy stuff at the Oregon Bigfoot Highway. Go to squatchamerica.com. Go to our favorite products, our favorite merchandise, that tab, and it will take you to where you can get a whole variety of different books and field guides and stuff. And the Oregon Bigfoot Highway book is on there. And we get a tiny little 14-cent cut every time you buy something.
Yeah. So, are we done?
I hope so. And you need to be more prepared for those.
Well, okay. All right. So we're going to go bring Kristi back on. Hi, Kristi.
Hi.
Okay. So we need to get into your latest, or somebody wanted to hear your something other. I saw a comment. Renee said, I want to hear that story, but I'm not sure what she was talking about. All right. Sorry if I just yelled in the mic. All right.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, her most recent encounter. Just
okay.
Focus.
Okay.
Focus.
All right.
He hasn't had enough coffee today.
All right.
Focus.
Okay. Anyway, so go ahead, Kristi.
Tell your story.
I'll bring up the first photo and we can start talking. How's that sound?
All right, that sounds good.
All right. So here we go. Hopefully this will bring it up. Nope, it lost it. Hold on. Oh my gosh. I love technology.
Why don't I do a little bit of background while you pull that up?
The fire.
So last year hunting season was closed due to fire, and this year it did not open. So we hunt the Oregon Bigfoot Highway. That's part of our hunting unit. We go to the place I call the zoo, which has a ton of animals and a ton of Bigfooting things that have happened. Tons of stories coming out of that area. So this year I decided to go scouting for a new area, and I felt kind of lost. There's no Oregon Bigfoot Highway on the other areas. I just started driving up and down forest roads. Okay, or at least so I thought. So I go down this one forest road and I'm looking for deer sign, and I don't see any because it's a ridiculously hot time. I think Portland was hitting 119 one weekend. I mean, it was stupid hot. So in the mountains, it's like 85 or 90. I mean, it's less than Portland, but it's still hot. So I get to a place and I realize this is not a good place to hunt. There's too many cliffs. There's water on one side with a straight drop. There's a cliff on the other side. The road is a cut through. So I managed to get the truck turned around, and I let the dogs out to run. And the dogs, they take off running, and I have this command, too far. That means turn around and come back. So they run out. I give the command. They run back. They turn around. They run back. So we're doing this up to a spot, and they slide to a halt on a giant rock, and they're glued to the rock. Now, here's something about these two Dobermans here. These are not the same as the other one I had. Peter passed away. So in the image, you're going to see the black Doberman. She is titled in Schutzend. She's a very outgoing dog. She's got a high prey drive. She is a show dog. She's titled, championed. And then the red female is a puppy, and her prey drive is even bigger. When we go to Cabela's, she tries to attack the stuffed bear that's in there. She wants to kill the giant moose heads. I mean, nothing backs her down. This dog is really badass. The other one's tough. The red one's tougher. So they get to this rock. Now, let me tell you, the pictures you're about to see are all that's left of a burst of 22 photos. Because when I take photos, I actually will take a series of photos and go through and delete the ones that don't look right. And I only keep the good photos. And this was July 18th, like 12 weeks ago. Okay. So dogs are running. I'm taking pictures. There's a magazine that's article that's going out about the black dog, and I'm trying to get a good motion picture to be included in the article. And I walk up to this spot, and I noticed the black dog's nose. Her name is Katya. Katya's nose is glued to the rock, and Trixie is looking around, and she's looking back and forth. But neither of them are moving. So I stand there. I take 10, 15 pictures. Then I step even closer, and I slightly move to the right. Now, at this point, I can feel there's a predator in the area. Yes, I can feel it. You know the feeling when there's something around. It's that feeling you get. I don't know, when you walk, like when I walk in a new city, for my job, I'm constantly in a new city. It's like I'm alert. I can feel things because you're alert. You're aware. If you're not aware, you can get hurt, right? And I don't mean forest. I mean city. Walking up and down Times Square, walking through Nowheresville, Kansas. It doesn't matter, right? You have to be aware of your surroundings. So you know when someone's there. So I'm standing here and I can feel something's there, and I realize I don't have my 45. I don't want anything to happen to my dogs, okay? Now, here's something interesting. So when I went to get out of the truck initially, I did a really weird thing, and I had no idea why I did it. I actually was kind of chiding myself. I step out of the truck, and I look around, and I'm like, the Sasquatch are here. And I say in my head, hey, don't eat my dogs. I love them. They're my babies. And then I say out loud, hey, Sasquatch, don't eat my dogs. They're my babies. And then I think, oh, I have got to stop watching all those YouTube videos. They're talking to the air, and I just kind of shake my head and I start walking with it. So anyway, I totally did that. Yes, I did. But then anyway, so I'm standing at this rock, I'm shooting these pictures, and I feel like there's a predator. I look up and I see what I think is a bear, and I lean forward and look, and I see a giant black thing, and then I hear noise over here. As soon as the noise hits, Trixie's head snaps up and she starts circling Katya. Katya is not moving. She's like frozen in place. It was super weird. And I look to my right and I look left and there's nothing there. And I'm like, it's a bear. There's a bear here. We're going to go. I don't have a gun. I can't protect you guys. So I go, let's go. I'm taking pictures the whole time. Not discreet, like I'm taking pictures. So we turn around. We head back to the truck. I flip through some of the other pictures. We go home. I file the pictures. The incident is done. So just 3 nights ago. So Katya is a grand champion. She's getting ready to breed. And I had to update my webpage. So I think to myself, hey, I better go pull those pictures and see if there's any I can add to the webpage before the puppies are born as part of the advertisement. So I go, I pull up the pictures. Now I'm also, as I'm doing this, getting ready to go to bed, and I turn off the lights. So the only thing in the room is these pictures. And I look at the first picture and I'm like, what is that in the background? What is that? And I zoom in and I'm like, oh, shit. I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry, but I'm like, I got it. And I'm stunned and I'm glued to my bed and I can't move. And 1,000 things go through my mind like, they could have eaten my dogs. Oh my God, it's standing there staring at me. I look at the next picture and like, it turned its head. It's watching me take pictures. And then I start looking at the timestamps. So the first one, there's nothing there. And I'm like 3 minutes later, there's something there, something there, something there, nothing there. I stood there for 15 minutes. Okay. So they stood there too. Anyway, so I very carefully think about what I'm about to say. And then I post it on Facebook. Because, you know, I don't care what people think, whatever. It is what it is, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm talking to you, Scott, and we're talking about how they run in groups. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember how the conversation went, but I go back into the image, and I think these things run in groups. That could have been the sentry. So I start blowing up each picture. By the way, I have Apple products, and I have a MacBook Pro, so I have an amazing photo editing software that you can zoom in. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I start zooming in, and sure enough, there's another face that looks like a baby because it has no hair. Baby's not the right word, youngster, infant, whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got 2. Oh, 2. And of course, I'm laying there going, they could have ate my dogs. They didn't have my gun. Like my gun would have helped. And then I'm like, I totally announced that I was coming and please don't eat my dogs. Did they listen to me? Did they duplicate my communication? Was that happenstance? Did I actually feel that? And then I negated what I suspected. I mean, all this stuff's going through my head. Could hardly sleep. So the next day I sent it to my coworker, Eric Korb. He actually lived up on the Olympic Peninsula. He and his wife had a cabin out in the wilderness, so they're, in their youth, so they're familiar with this stuff. They said there were Sasquatches all around up in the Olympic Peninsula area.
Yeah, we just had Shane Corson on last week from the Olympic Project. So
Cool. Yeah. So I go, so I actually think I'm doing people a service because I have a MacBook Pro and it doesn't dawn on me that not everybody has a great computer. So I start sending out the original photos with zero instructions to see if they can see what I see, because I'm also trying to validate the veracity of what I'm seeing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eric calls me back. He goes, Kristi, there is not one, but 3 faces in this image you gave me and possibly a 4th. I'm like, what? And sure enough, he found a 3rd face. He thought he found a 4th, but it's not there when you blow it up. But he was doing it on a PC, I think they're called. They're the non-Apple machines.
Yeah, PC.
Another person.
Our grave apologies to the audience because that's what we have.
Yeah.
So someone else who was looking at the pictures, my hunting friend, one of the first people I sent the images to goes, hey, do Sasquatches like bears? Do like bears and Sasquatches get along? I go, what are you talking about? No, they probably kill it. Why do you ask? He goes, there's a bear in this photo. So I look, that was that other face. So there's 3 faces in the photos. 2 of them are very easy to see. One of them is not. So I had to look at all the before and after photos to see if that blob went away. So I got 2 good photos in the blob squatch. But the blob squatch, should I even say it? I should probably let you look at that image before I tell you what I think it looks like, because I've got little descriptor nicknames for the photos.
Oh, okay.
We love them.
So we love to. So let's see what I got here. This is the blown up colorized version of the big
photo
one.
number 2.
Yeah, that's photo number 2. If you can see that outline there, and then next to it in the woods, you see this other face up here.
That looks like an infant, because the one on the left, based on the slant of the road, I estimate to be 8 feet tall. The one on the right appears to be less than that. I tried to get back out there when I noticed it, but the first snows just hit like right after I spotted these, so I can't actually get to that spot. It's 8 miles deep on Road 2660. Just in case
We should point out that in the right photo, you need to look towards the top of that oval, because when I first look at it, I look at the bottom and anyway. So if you look at the top, you can really see that face.
Right. In fact, I got a blown up version of it.
Is that Freddie Mercury?
No,
that's the next one.
Okay.
This is the one I think looks a lot like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
That one's definitely a lot creepier. If any of you Google baby orangutan or baby monkey, the facial structure is very similar, which is why I call it the baby.
It's so freaking creepy. So creepy.
Yeah, it was just peeping through, and they're staring at me. Now they are approximately 20 to 25 feet away, which is why they were in such good focus when I was shooting the dogs. Yay to Apple. This is the one off to the. Okay, this one's off to the right. So on the MacBook Pro, when I zoom in, now that zoom is approximately, I want to say close to 2,000%, because I could really drill deep on these pictures. This one looks like a mustache, Freddie Mercury sideburns with a Beatles haircut with a pointed head, and you can see thin lips going like this, and there's like tree fuzz or fur, whatever that stuff is, hanging in front of its face. That is where the rustling came from. So I looked away from the big one, and then the big one stepped back.
There we go. Oh, that's kind of interesting. That's almost like a coordinated effort. Like, we're going to shake a tree over here, make you look over here while this one here steps away.
I still see 2 shadow people in that one. I just, but.
Yeah, so that one was about 6 feet away from me on the right. And I'll tell you, if you've got a MacBook and you take the original and you do your own zooming, you'll start to see. I wish you guys could see my finger, but it's eye, half a nose, mustache, and then lips. So,
or 2 shadow people. Sorry, I can't get past that.
I just don't even see the shadow people. And
Here, point to them. Point that one and that one.
Yeah, she sees this as shadow people.
I have to say though, if you,
but you can see.
Yeah.
Let me see if I'm right, Kristi. Is this what you're saying? Is like the eye and the sideburns?
Go down.
Here?
Go down. Go over to the right, and go over. Go over. Go over. Go up. Over to the left, just a hair. Down. and down, and right there,
Oh, okay.
Oh, now I see. It looks like a Chewbacca there.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another good one. I kept thinking Freddie Mercury and the Beatles because I was trying to figure out what I was looking at, and I could totally make out
Well,
the lyrics.
now I see it right there.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, because it's not the center focus, I can't do like on the other ones. I could go almost 3,000% zoom and pull out detail. With this one, I couldn't. I could only go like 300 or 400% zoom.
Okay, we've got a question for you that we're going to pop up. Donna asks, did the dogs look in that area?
No, and here's the weird part. Remember how I told you they're very prey driven? Katya's nose never moved from the rock. It's like she was stuck. Trixie's head was doing this.
Yeah.
And her hackles went up after that photo was taken, and she began to circle the rock like she was trying to find or smell something. And I'll tell you this, I was not afraid. I told you how I was afraid with the footsteps and all that stuff. There was no fear. I just thought, bear. Now, this picture is picture number 3. This is the first picture that I found, okay? The picture you're looking at is zoomed in, I want to say 1,500% on this one, and it's only, the exposure change is only at 200%, I believe. And this is the one that you can get way more detail out of.
Right. And we have. Let's see if I can. Now, okay, this is where I wanted to throw a little my own analysis in here real quick, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So what I see in this, I don't know if you see this, but you'll see it in a second. I see a conical head right here in this area. In this area, if we lighten it up a little bit, you can see the eye sockets and the deep
The forehead ridge.
Yeah, brow ridge.
Brow ridge.
There. I also see a small little bulbous nose and kind of shining right there a little bit. And I see the flat lips across here, and we can even see the hint of an ear over here in the corner. Now, if you take this photo and blow it up and just look at the face and compare it to the one I took 2 years ago in Eastern Oregon, and you still see the brow ridge up here, the eyes, the little nose, the flat mouth with big jawline underneath it. If you compare that to, this is one Scott Carpenter took, I don't know, a long time ago, you get the same morphology to it. And then if we throw Patty up there, we got the same morphology in all these photos. So this is the face of Bigfoot, I'd have to say.
You did a video about that you should link in the description.
I should. Anyway.
Yeah, I immediately thought that when I zoomed in on those faces, I thought that looks like the one that Scott took. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
And then I was like, and I don't know if you've got this blown up, but the one where it's got its head turned, you can clearly see the chest. And I actually thought it was something standing behind another tree, like snapped off tree. And then someone else pointed out, Kristi, that looks like its whole body twisted sideways. I'll be darned if it didn't, because in the next image, of course, it's gone, and there's no broken tree there for it to stand behind.
Right.
So dark and so black. You know what my first thought was? Oh my gosh, it totally can be a tree. It's being a tree. This is not an accidental, I can't see it. It's being a tree. It's got that whole hiding thing down to a fine science.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I had to go back a little bit to get the photo, but
yeah, so that one is the one where it's turned looking over its shoulder. That's image number 3.
3, yep.
I have the name based on the burst sequence. So,
right.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Yep, because we are down to 11 minutes before we have to sign out. This show has gone like lickety split. It's because we were all not breathing the first half of it.
Yeah.
So, questions from the peanut gallery.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question for you. So you said that you've changed taking your dogs out. Okay,
yeah. So one of the things I did, and this was after my first encounters, I actually went back to the dealership with my brand new RV that was 4 months old and said, take it, give me a hard-sided trailer. I don't feel safe. I had a Sasquatch encounter, and they went and grabbed the manager and said, what? Tell the story again. I said, yeah, I saw a bear, because I was embarrassed. They're like, no, tell us what you actually saw. I'm like, okay, I saw a Sasquatch. Take this trailer, give me a new one. So I got a new trailer, started going out, and now I don't necessarily want to go alone after seeing these photos. Because, you know, it's one thing when you don't see something, but you hear stuff, right? But what if we were on the menu? What if they were hungry? I'm not saying they eat people or dogs, but you definitely have stories from the South and the Southeast ripping dogs apart, ripping horses to pieces, punching out deer. I mean, they're powerful, right? And they are wild. And if they're hungry, my dogs could be on the menu. So I've recently made a new rule. I should take another person, maybe, and I should only take as many dogs as I can protect.
Yeah.
In my hard-sided trailer. So that's my new rule.
That's your new rule.
We need to go camping together again while we're here.
Yeah, we do. Well,
oh my God, I want the zoo to open. There's going to be so much stuff there. I'm telling you, it's going to be Sasquatch heaven when they open.
It is. Yes.
When do they open?
I don't know. They keep putting it off. In fact, the forest ranger I talked to said they're talking about keeping it closed till early 2023. I'm like, why?
Ah.
I go, no. He's like, well, we'll see. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. That area is also where I heard the backwards Japanese talking at subhuman levels, screaming down the mountain.
Yep.
That was crazy. I was like, it was so beautiful. I wanted to record it, and I thought, I don't care if I record it. I could care less if anybody else believes me. This is beautiful, and it's a language, and they're here. Wow.
Yeah. In fact,
now I'm like,
yeah, I was going to say, Shane Corson from the Olympic Project. You know who Shane is, right?
Yes, I've seen some of his stuff.
Yeah. He was telling us that his first encounter was in that area.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. So that was my thing, and I've made some new rules, and
were the dogs happy to get back in the truck?
Yes, actually, they ran. That was the only time they moved, was they ran as fast as they could and jumped in the truck. I didn't think they were afraid. My biggest fear was they would, because I thought it was a bear. I thought they would scent the bear and take off running. And my e-collars are not shock collars; they're tone. And I was afraid if they got locked into a prey drive, they would like disregard the tone.
Yeah.
So now, and then in looking back, the change of characteristic on their normal behavior should have been a clue that they went from wild and crazy to sedate and standing on a rock. I think either A, they peed on that rock or sat on that rock, or C, they could kind of smell it, like, because it was very still. There was no wind. So they might have been sniffing, thinking, is that smell from the rock? Where's that smell from?
Oh, yeah, it was bouncing off the rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. We're down to 7 minutes.
All right. So I wanted to point out one last thing here in the pictures before we go. These are two separate pictures. We can see the Bigfoot up here in this one. But if we take these sections and blow them up, you can see where you can see the dark figure up here, but there's not one in this photo.
Yeah.
So it was there and then it wasn't there. So.
Yeah, that's how I knew there was no tree there. And I wish I hadn't thrown those other images away. Too much time went by and I couldn't retrieve the deleted photos. So I just have the one beginning and the one after and the two in the middle.
All right, now that I've got it actually blown up on my big screen, I hadn't done that before, and I have a big screen right here off to this side of us, and that I'm looking at it, I can actually see hands, the arms like this, and the hands sticking out right here. So, yeah. Yeah,
when I blew that up, it looked like it's either holding something or it's got its arms down and it's doing a swift turn. Right. At first I thought those were just dark spots in the forest. But on the picture that doesn't have it there, those dark spots are not dark spots.
Yeah, interesting. Yep.
Yeah, so.
That's pretty cool. Any last minute questions from you folks out there? Let's scroll back up the chat here and see if we can find it.
We have a definitely huge, some cool pictures. we
Yeah, a lot of people are saying, yes, I can feel a predator looking at me in the woods.
yeah,
Uh,
it's crazy. So Dale asks, are you using just a normal digital camera or something a professional would use, or were you using your phone?
iPhone 11 with 2 cameras and the latest iOS software on high definition.
Okay,
cool.
so an iPhone, we got to switch, honey.
No, we don't, because my new Android phone has 3 cameras on it. So because they had to outdo it, and one of them's a 4K camera. So
cool.
Well, thank you, Terry. Terry says this is an award-winning episode of Squatch America, and thank you, Kristi. You know, I think we are landing on something. I just wanted to say, I am talking to more and more people from the Bigfoot community about guesting on our show, and I'm getting great feedback from them. Hopefully next week, I don't know, but I just want to tease that next week we may have someone that was involved with the original Patty expedition.
Cool.
Just keep your pinkies crossed.
all right, and then is Donna in? Yeah, Donna's in, and I just wanted to do another quick shout out for Donna and let her know. Well, she already knows, but let you guys know that Donna's cast of the new Cripplefoot that was found in Vermont
is here.
I have it in my hot little hand.
Cool.
So there we go.
After looking at that cast, Donna, we have got to give you even more kudos. That was her first cast.
Yeah, and it was excellent job. That we're going to we're to make a mold of it, so in case it ever gets broken, we can make a copy. And we are going to take it to Dr. Meldrum in a couple weeks. So
cool.
All right. Well, so yes, John, we do thank you, Kristi, for sharing your experiences. I think it was a great show. I think the more people that we bring in, the better the shows are.
Yes.
So we are on a roll. What is that?
Oh, that's the wrong
button.
Insane.
So as always, thank you so much for watching and for putting up with our silly little antics. If you guys have any ideas as to who we could, ask on for an interview, let us know. You can drop it in the chat. You can send us an email at squatchamerica@gmail.com. You can contact us through the website, whatever you want to do. But we thank you so much for being part of our little Squatch American family. We will be working on having the Squatch America Bigfoot brew label here shortly.
Yeah.
And maybe in time for Christmas. Well, probably not in time for Christmas, but and I wanted to let you know that in the next week or two, we will have some new merchandise on the website. So be ready to get your stainless steel water bottles with the Squatch America logo, and I think mouse pads. I can't remember, but I've got a couple new products that we're going to be throwing up there. So just in time for Christmas.
Yay.
All right.
So thank you so much tonight, Kristi.
You're welcome
for joining us. And we'll have to get you back because I know you've got a lot more stories.
Oh my gosh, I do. And they were all in a short period of time too. That's what's crazy about it. My personal viewpoint is seek and ye shall find.
Yes, exactly.
That's very true. Yep. Knock and ask and.
Yep.
All right. So I guess that's it.
I know. All right.
All right. Well, we will see you next time, Kristi. And until next week, everyone, keep it squatchy and
go out and find Bigfoot.
Bye.